racism, it's called. And solutions are hard to come by. Here's NBC's Sarah James.
In my community have died of cancer, respiratory problems, and kidney problems.
On the south side of Chicago is the public housing project called Altgeld Gardens. Hazel Johnson calls it a toxic donut.
The reason for saying I live in a toxic donut because over here is a steel mill, here is a landfill, here is landfill, and over here is one of the U.S. Sewage treatment plants.
Residents believe that pollution is making them sick.
I'm just standing here on the porch, and all of a sudden I start getting these welts. Like somebody had taken their fingernails and scratched all over my skin. I mean, all over my skin.
Do they have reason to be alarmed?
Yes, I think they do. They certainly are in an area where a high amount of air pollution, water pollution, hazardous waste, solid waste is located.
And they are not alone. Across the country, 3 out of 5 Black and Latino Americans live near toxic waste sites.
Cheap land attracts homes. Cheap land attracts industry.
But studies indicate race is a stronger predictor than income of where hazardous waste sites are located. The new head of the NAACP says this is the next crusade for the civil rights movement.
Now, the same vigor that we fight all the other forms of racial discrimination, we now must bring vigor and energy and vigilance to this particular form known as environmental racism.
I've had pneumonia 3 times in the last 5 years.
Biology professor Florence lives in the working-class community of Alsen, Louisiana, near Baton Rouge, and gives what she calls a toxic tour.
It has very high concentrations of hexachlorobenzene and hexachlorobutadiene and tetrachloroethylene.
This pastoral countryside is dotted with petrochemical plants, a hazardous waste incinerator, and a pair of abandoned toxic waste dumps that have been here for decades. The Environmental Protection Agency has labeled this a Superfund site and is spending millions to contain it. That project will take 25 years.
The chemical industry say there's no proof that these chemicals cause problems. Well, honey, we're the guinea pigs.
Back in Altgeld Gardens, residents think they know why.
Just seems like they don't care. Hey, you don't have any political clout, you don't have any economic clout, so forget you.
The National Law Journal says the government's policy has been separate and unequal, that while the EPA is cleaning up Superfund sites in minority areas, it has responded more quickly to toxic hazards in white communities.
I think that we can and should do more, and we will do more, but in terms of saying we won't take an action here because there are poor people or minorities, I have never seen any evidence of that.
In fact, new EPA Chief Carol Browner says environmental racism is now a top priority. The Clinton administration has directed the EPA to work with the Justice Department. They'll review current laws and how they're being enforced in low-income and minority communities in the nation's toxic zones. For America Close Up, Sarah James, NBC News, Chicago.